IT, forging IT security experts. Secure Ninja.
Hey everyone, it's Alicia Webb with SecureNinjaTV. I am here at RSA 2012 in San Francisco, and we are speaking with Subbu Iyer. He is the Director of Product Management at Zscaler. Subbu, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thanks for having me here, Alicia.
Beautiful trade show, isn't it?
Yes, it's been very busy.
Very
Great
busy, yes, very exciting. Now you are somewhat of an expert on mobile security. Tell us, what are some of the up-and-coming issues with mobile applications and security these days?
Yep, in today's age, there is an app for everything. Whether you are browsing the web for news or you're playing a game, there is an app for it. There's literally an app for everything. Many of these mobile apps actually send information about yourself, which may be your personally identifiable information, such as email ID, or something about your device, such as your device phone number or your device identifier, to remote servers like advertising agencies, so that they can advertise to you based on where you are. For example, they know that you are at the RSA show. They know you as your email ID. And it's very hard to control this, and we see many apps doing this and sending information about yourself.
Wow, well, I can see how that would be beneficial in some cases, but not others. So if we don't want that information about ourselves sent out, what can we do to stop it?
Yep, that's a very good question. That's hard to do. When you're installing an app, for instance, you go to Google Play or you go to the iTunes Market, you find an app, you hit install, you say accept, yes, yes, and go. Very rarely do you see the kinds of permissions it's asking you. In every case, it asks you for a long list of permissions.
Right.
It says, I want to see your contacts. I want to see your calendar information. I want the ability to make outbound network calls. I want the ability to make outbound phone calls. Oftentimes, it's a simple gaming app. It's a simple calculator app that you're installing. People don't think, why does a calculator app need to be able to make outbound phone calls?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there is no way to say, yeah, you can make outbound phone calls, but you can't read my contacts.
Right.
That's the bad part of it.
Or if you try to say no, you just can't get the app.
You can't install the app. So oftentimes people just gloss over it and say yes, and they install the app.
So the solution would be to just say no?
No, there is a solution. So companies like us at Zscaler, we spend a lot of time researching mobile apps off of markets like iTunes and Google Play. And our security research team profiles these apps to see what they do over the network. And you can go to our portal. It's Zscaler Application Profiler, or zap.zscaler.com.
Okay.
So if you have questions about your favorite gaming app or your favorite news app or whatever, type in the name like CNN or ESPN and see what we think of it. So we essentially issue a report saying, let's say it's a CNN app. We say, yeah, it sends out your device information once in a while. Based on all the stuff that it does over the network, we essentially assign it a risk score, something between a 0 and a 100, something that gives you an indication saying, oh, okay, if it says red, like a 100, oh, wow, that's malware. If it's like 50-ish, you go, oh, okay, that's a yellow, and I know that I should be a little careful about using this app. If it's really low, like a 10 or a 0, which is completely benign, you know that you're using a very good app.
So are there any apps out there that are generally trusted by the majority of the population that you guys have kind of found to be like shockingly abusive?
Yeah, we find plenty, actually. Recently, we wrote a blog article on the ESPN Score Center app, which many people use. It has millions of followers.
Right.
It makes the user register to the app. So you type in a username and a password. So once you type in a username and password, we realize that the app is actually sending that information out in the clear to its remote server. So imagine if you were sitting at a Starbucks or any open Wi-Fi, anybody else who is connected to the same network could simply use simple tools available on the internet to see what your username and password was. That's considered egregious in the security space. We immediately wrote a blog article on it, and the ESPN guys fixed it soon enough.
Nice, because it wasn't ESPN doing anything malicious with it. They just weren't protecting your information well enough.
They were writing the app with rather poor standards. I mean, it could have been a simple developer mistake, but oftentimes it happens that they outsource app development to other agencies or whatever, and apps are written very fast to meet the time to market. and often security gets compromised to make the time to market.
Right. What's kind of like a worst case scenario? What could happen if you installed an app that and gave it all these permissions? What could happen with your information?
Exactly. There are many scenarios where companies talk to us about people bringing in their own devices to work. BYOD is a very popular theme, as you can see at the conference this year. So when people bring in their own devices, they have a lot of personal apps running on them. And oftentimes, if the app is really bad, what it could be doing is opening up information that may be sensitive or confidential to the company or to the user and sending it out to a remote, untrusted server. So in many cases, information about the user, or worse, about the company, is compromised by a bad app.
Right. What would you say about the free apps? I've heard that, sometimes if an app's free, it's not necessarily a good thing because it could have some freebies in there that you don't necessarily want.
We see that all the time. So applications either embed social media widgets like Twitter or Facebook or other things without even informing the user about it. Or they embed advertising widgets, and that's how they make money. That's how they are able to sell have the app for free. So they have advertising widgets within them that send information about yourself. This device, what is the device identifier? Oh, it's an iPhone 5. It's at the RSA show. It's been here all of today and yesterday. How about showing you an ad for maybe a coffee joint at a neighboring street or something like that? These are ads that are tailored to you, and they track you. They know where you've been, where you're going, what types of apps you use, and that's often not nice.
Yeah, some people hate that, although I see it as a benefit sometimes, targeted advertising. 'Cause if I did need a coffee, I would know where to go.
I wish it remained as benign as that.
Right.
But this opens the door for many hackers to write apps that don't just do advertising, but they basically steal your information out. They lure you to websites where it looks like you are browsing to a PayPal website, but actually it's a phishing website, and you accidentally enter your confidential information in there, and they steal that information. We see that all the time.
Right. This makes me want to go through my phone and check every app I have against the Zscaler
Application Profile.
ZAP, you said, yes, and then delete half of them.
Right?
Would my safety be restored on my phone if I deleted the apps in question?
It would. So if you get the offending app off your device, you essentially revert back the device to a state where you are now no longer sending that information out to the remote servers that the app was doing earlier.
So obviously you could always check an app against the ZAP tool to see if it's good or bad, but in lieu of that, what would be a good kind of personal protocol that a person should use when they're deciding whether or not to download an app?
There are some best practices that people could use. For instance, if a social networking app like Eventful is another app that we have found that sends your personally identifiable information out. If such an app requires you to register and create a username and a password so you have a profile in them, don't create your profile with your user ID that you use in an online banking app or maybe your Gmail. Right. Don't use your corporate email address. And worse, don't use your password that you use for your online banking and for Gmail and for Yahoo Mail in a social networking app or a simple ESPN Score Center app. It doesn't need to have your real username and password. Have a fake username, have a fake password. So if at all it sends that out in the clear and that gets compromised, you don't jeopardize your corporate information or your specific banking information.
Right, that makes sense. Now with the bring your own device becoming so much more popular lately, do you ever think the operating systems in the phones will progress to the point where you can selectively deny certain permissions, making the apps more safe?
Probably a stretch. We don't see that happening anytime in the near future because there are so many mobile operating systems out there and so many different distributions of it that to have an environment where you can selectively disable permissions per app seems like a far-fetched dream.
Really? So what would we do about it if that's never going to happen?
So that leaves the door open for vendors like us to innovate and essentially build products that help mask out information while this is being sent out, so allowing you to still use apps while this information is disabled from being sent out.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us. Definitely learned a lot, and the ZAP tool sounds like it's something that could be very useful for a lot of people.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Appreciate
me
it.
here, Alicia.
Definitely enjoy the rest of RSA.
You too. Thank you.
And you guys at home, make sure you don't miss any of our coverage from RSA. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SecureNinja. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Alicia Webb.
Secure Ninja Shorts are brought to you by SecureNinja.com, a world leader in information security and IT training and certification. Our master instructors will help build you into a highly skilled and marketable security professional. SecureNinja.com, forging IT security experts.